Today on Aging Untold, it's a delicate topic to discuss, but it can shape daily life in a big way.
Sometimes you'll see people with diapers, people having to change their clothes all the time. Those are signs that they have an issue and all that.
We're taking on bladder health with practical advice and when to reach out for help. Plus, famous names, familiar faces, and a universal reality: caregiving.
There's so many more that are now saying, I want to be the voice to inspire because we see the crisis that's happening.
We'll dig into the impact of celebrity caregiving stories and how that visibility can help everyday caregivers feel recognized and less alone. Then, one man's climb with Parkinson sparked a movement. Hear his inspiring story of strength on the wall and how it's helping him fight the disease. Experts with advice and solutions. You're watching Aging Untold with Aging Well coach Catherine Ambrose, gerontologist Sam Craddock, aging expert Amy O'Rourke, and board-certified physician Dr. Ray Rogers. We're all getting older. It's about time we talked about it.
Welcome to Aging Untold. We're having a deeply personal discussion about an issue that can affect health, confidence, independence, and dignity. We're talking about urinary incontinence. And some people suffer in silence because of the shame surrounding it. Dr. Ray, how do you recognize the signs, reduce the stigma, and know when it's time to seek medical help?
Well, the definition of incontinence means that you're losing urine unintentionally. So some of the signs that you will see, one is stress incontinence, where you're coughing, you're sneezing, you're laughing. And what happens is, when we talk about this pushing the muscles in, where the sphincter is normally is up, and when you valsalva or cough, then that pressure pushes into where the sphincter is and it tightens it. But if you have any kind of relaxation or so and the bladder comes down, then now when you valsalva, you're forcing the muscle to squeeze the urine out. So that's the mechanism behind stress incontinence, which is more of a physical thing. But then you have urge incontinence, where you have the urge to get there, you just can't get there. So you have to hurry up and go. Sometimes you'll see people with diapers, people having to change their clothes all the time. Those are signs that they have an issue and all that. And if you have any kind of infections and all that, then the bladder muscle is irritated. Some people have a combination of them, mixed, what we call it mixed incontinence. So you have urge incontinence and you have the stress incontinence, or you have other things like, especially like in diabetics, they may not be able to feel the nerves. They don't feel the bladder filling up. So that's what we call an overflow incontinence. So you don't know that the bladder is filled because your nerves or neuropathy is there. So there's multiple different reasons and different signs of what's going on, but it doesn't have to be a stigma. You just have to talk about it, recognize it. So, and if you have a urinary tract infection, you treat it, then the bladder is not irritable. So there's different things that can be done about it, and it doesn't have to be the stigma. One other sign that you can really tell is if you can smell the urine when you go places to people's house and all that, or smell it on them. And I think that's what makes it more of the embarrassing thing.
I think everybody knows this is by far my favorite topic to address. And the reason why it is number one, we have trained people to be ashamed. And how did we do that? My last book is Only Babies Mess Their Pants, and other statements that adversely affect aging. And that's because when we're potty training our children, we very frequently say, big girls don't pee their pants, big boys don't mess their pants. And so we automatically put that shame in the game. It happens. It is while it's not medically normal, it is something that we very frequently, many people deal with. And until we can start talking about these things openly without shame, it's going to continue to hide in the dark. And what hides in the dark will cause problems. And I know you've seen it in communities, Amy.
I've seen it. And the other thing I think about is isolation. I remember my dad limiting how long he was going to stay out. And the first thing I asked him was, are you worried about getting to the bathroom? And he said, yes. Yeah. And I don't really want to talk to you about it. He was very upfront about that. But I think thinking through, if you have a loved one that says, I don't want to go out, or I don't want to go out for the afternoon, is ask the question, watch, observe. And then the other thing I've heard and seen is, I can't afford to be incontinent. It's a very expensive thing to handle. And so, but now, there's washable alternatives. Yes. So do some research into the other products that are maybe less expensive, so that you can get out more, because you know the cascading effects of isolation.
And also just look at the reason why, because if it's the muscles are weakened and all that, they have a lot of different things out here now, these electromagnetic chairs, if you're a candidate, and things like that, that you can strengthen the pelvic floor.
I want you to give that tip I heard you say about peri-care.
Oh, I'm all for the old Perry bottles.
Yeah.
If you do not have, a bidet, then a Perry bottle will work. Anything that you can help rinse it off, because most urinary tract infections is E. coli bacteria, which comes from the BM. So it's just us not getting clean and taking care of hygiene. And a lot of it comes from also over-wearing incontinent products after they've been soiled and trying to save money. I've seen people that will hang them to dry, and I'm like, you're putting a petri dish back on yourself.
It can even lead to eviction. I mean, just to be real, like worst case scenario, because if your apartment smells like your urine, you may be told that you have to move out of your independent living. So it's a very serious issue. I went to a trampoline exercise class a few years ago with a bunch of young women, young moms, and they were all talking in the bathroom about experiencing something they weren't used to. Well, I'm an older mom, and I just got the biggest kick out of it. So it could start with exercise stress and jumping. Like, do you want to jump on the trampoline, Grandma?
No.
Don't be afraid or ashamed to wear an incontinent product.
Yeah, talk about it, because there's a lot of solutions out here now.
Absolutely. And so that's what I found. Maybe I could jump on the trampoline using her chair and all those things.
I'll put an outfit together. You just jump away.
It's a very common problem.
Very common problem.
And it's about time we talked about it.
Coming up, from one climber to more than 1,000 nationwide.
What made you say yes? Gosh, it's crazy to me that people said no to him.
How one yes helped launch a movement against Parkinson's. But first, caregiving, even in the lives of the rich and famous.
It's the great leveler. It affects every single person on this earth.
We'll take a look at what it means when celebrities open up about caregiving and how that visibility could help everyday caregivers feel seen.
Welcome back. There's something Rob Lowe and Queen Latifah have in common, and we're not talking about them being actors. It's caregiving. Rob Lowe, along with his brothers, cared for their mother, who had stage 4 breast cancer, and Queen Latifah cared for her late mother, who had a rare autoimmune disease. Money and fame may change resources, but it doesn't erase the emotional weight of caring for someone you love. Amy, how have celebrity voices helped bring caregiving out of the shadows and into a more honest public conversation?
Hillary Clinton, we all knew Chelsea, we all knew her activities, but we didn't know that she was caring for her mother. And that made me sad for her. Yeah. And then I think about Rosalind Carter, who started the Institute for Caregiving, and it's still an active, vital, vibrant place that people can turn to for caregiver support. Yeah. So I'm really hopeful with all these different celebrities that are openly talking about it, because the conversation needs to be lifted way high, because it's the great leveler. It affects every single person on this earth.
Right. We heard about the pets in the White House, but we didn't hear about Hillary's mom. And I think now we've kind of changed that, because you have so many. Seth Rogen, he talks about it. He started Hilarity for charity. He and it was his mother-in-law, Bradley Cooper. There's so many more that are now saying, I want to be the voice to inspire, because we see the crisis that's happening. But then it seemed like it was more of just, I'm normally going to do this. It's my what I'm doing, and we're not talking about it. But now I think, shows like our own and celebrities that are out there now bringing a voice to the voiceless. Yeah. And that's the family caregivers that are trying so hard. Doesn't matter how much money you have.
Exactly.
Even Jesse Jackson's family. They are really bringing this conversation forward.
I think people don't realize or recognize the impact that something has on someone until it happens to you.
Right.
Yeah,
And
that's right.
the disease has no selection. I don't care if you're white, if you're black, if you're rich, if you're poor, you're fair game.
Yeah.
So it's a great way for people to begin to talk about it because it affects everyone.
Right.
So we're getting ready for the largest population shift of all of human history, with the baby boomers all turning 65 by the year 2030. We have Gen X right behind. People 65 and older soon will outnumber those that are 18 and younger. So there's a lot of things happening, and these conversations have to be out there. And so all the people that are out there using their voices to podcast and writing books and going on news segments, it's so important because this is what people need to know so they can grab those clues out there.
Right. And they've got a voice and they've got a platform. And using that platform for good. I know Lisa Gibbons, she had Entertainment Tonight. She hosts our Rose Bowl Parade every year out in California. She started the Lisa's Care Connection, which helps train and support caregivers and family caregivers. So there are a lot of people that are using their platform for the good, and we have to appreciate that.
I also think about why wouldn't they? And I think there's some valid reasons that they would have to sort through, like the parent's privacy, their privacy, maybe access to their parent, or some fear around exposing. Now, some of it could be public image management, but I think the others are more vulnerable, that they really have to think about how they want to communicate that to the public.
Life happens to us all.
Still to come.
It's very different from military life, but it can be done.
How one unique hobby is helping veterans find community and a sweet new beginning. But first, for people with Parkinson's, rock climbing is delivering more than exercise.
It keeps you stretched out. It does cognitive work. It's kind of cool because you're on the wall and you have to figure out a puzzle.
We'll show you how it's building confidence, community, and hope across the country. You can watch Aging Untold anytime online. Go to aginguntold.com or subscribe to the Aging Untold YouTube channel for more.
If you've ever watched someone rock climb, you know it takes planning, patience, and a lot of grit, one move at a time. Living with Parkinson's can demand that same kind of steady determination, especially on the hard days. Deborah Alfarone is in Virginia and introduces us to one man whose climb at a gym inspired a movement to upend Parkinson's.
Nice, John. You need tenacity to get to the top. Jonathan Lesson, in the white shirt and black pants, has more grit and grip than most.
I don't really understand how it can make you feel so good to be, but when you have Parkinson's, your world becomes smaller and you make smaller movements. When you get on the wall, you can just stretch out and you get to the top, you feel fantastic.
The retired physician was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease more than 20 years ago. He started searching for a gym that would let him climb. Lesson heard no after no.
I called this one and I found Molly.
What made you say yes? Gosh, it's crazy to me that people said no to him. Nice.
Molly Donnellan Kupka doesn't accept no. The then director of Sport Rock Climbing Centers in Alexandria, Virginia, started climbing with Jonathan twice a week.
What does rock climbing do for you?
It keeps you stretched out. It does cognitive work. It's kind of cool because you're on the wall and you have to figure out a puzzle.
Doctors often prescribe exercise for Parkinson's patients. Climbing targets what this disease attacks: balance, coordination, and muscle strength.
Blaze on.
The two climbers became 5, then 6, then more.
And then we had the shaky 6.
Wait, the fidgety 5 and the shaky 6.
And then we lost count when we got to 7.
We have 72 locations now, and I mean, even in the last year, I was just looking at our numbers last night, and I'm like, we're at over like 1,300 climbers, and we were at like 400 this time last year.
Molly turned it into a nonprofit, Upending Parkinson's. Now 1,300 climbers across the country are part of the program.
Seeing how much it helped people, and then learning why it was helping them and it making that make sense, and then realizing there's not anything out there like that, I felt like I had to do something about it.
Proving one yes can change everything.
I found the one yes.
That's all we need is one yes.
And a sea of no's.
And a sea of no's. Boy, is that a life lesson.
Yeah.
Find the one yes. What a great life lesson. And look at all the people now that are inspired, and now there'll be more.
I know, in a year. In 1 year, from 400 to 1,300. It's mind-blowing.
Right, and now it's a national thing. It's like one person said yes.
Yeah.
And that physician had enough foresight to realize, because of his training and his background, what it was affecting and what he could do to make himself enduring do better.
So now he's doing his treatment, but the best thing is it's fun. They enjoy it.
Yeah.
So you're treating the deficit basically, and you're helping that to be stronger, and you're using the brain and all those different, the brain is very complex to do all those different movements to climb, and then you made it fun.
Yeah.
Well, and people can really just stay steady so much longer. So you've got rock steady boxing out there, different boxing classes, all kinds of Parkinson's organizations out there that are working with people in the pool. They're inviting spouses to come on. They're doing urban pole walking. I'm telling you, the people that are dedicated to serving this with Parkinson's are incredible.
Yeah, and Parkinson's, we said this, it has so many different presentations. Everybody thinks that it's just the one, and you've got a tremor, and you've got, and that is not Parkinson's in a nutshell. Parkinson's has so many different presentations, and so I never saw a tremor on him at all.
No.
So you would look at him,
stiffness
and his is actually more, you could tell it was more in the physical stiffness. So I've seen somebody that had Parkinson's, and when they would stand, they would actually almost collapse because there was a lack of lack of tone. It was,
And it just made it normal.
Yeah.
Like it just normalized it. We're going to go rock climbing. You have Parkinson's, you're going rock.
Yeah, I'm going to go rock climbing. I'm going to go rewire my brain so I can live a better life.
Unbelievable. The trailblazers that are helping everyone live life and age better.
After the break, helping heroes with beehives.
You're talking about more than just bees.
How a veteran is using her green thumb and honey to make a difference in the lives of fellow service members.
Transitioning out of the military into civilian life can be difficult for some veterans. But thousands of volunteers nationwide are helping former service members find a path forward through beekeeping. Laura McCoy explains how the unique hobby can inspire veterans to overcome their fears and accomplish a new goal.
A beehive. A well-functioning system with thousands of members, all working together, similar to the military. But these troops consist of worker bees and drones. And instead of a general, they have a queen.
It started with the bees, and I don't know if you can see them or not, but the bees are behind us up on the platform over the chicken pen. And we only have 27 hives with plans to slowly increase that.
Nestled in Lacombe, you can find bees working at a 50-acre apiary and blueberry farm run by a Coast Guard veteran.
When I retired, I started just gardening full time. It's a passion of mine, and I decided one day to put bees out in my garden, and it got out of control.
Sherry Benaissa spent 25 years in the military.
Hives for Heroes was designed to help, in particular, transitioning veterans transition out of the military into civilian life and give them something to concentrate on.
Benaissa knew joining Hives for Heroes, a national nonprofit service organization, would help give back to her fellow service members.
They might be having a hard time because of depression, just the change of the transition. Maybe they have PTSD, or some of them are suicidal. So the idea with Hives for Heroes is to actually match those people with a mentor that could get them involved in something positive and engaging, like woodworking or beekeeping.
And she has a message for military members preparing to leave the service.
There's still a great life. Transition is not always easy. It's very different from military life, but it can be done. It's great. There's so much waiting for you out there.
When you're in the military, you're in your own community. Everything is protected. You have your own grocery store, you have your own retail stores, your own doctors, hospitals, and all that. Everything is, that community is very safe and connected. So imagine people who were in there 4 years, 6 years, 20 years. Now you have to come out into this other world. That's very scary.
Okay.
That's the transition. I experienced it, so I was like, wow.
Right.
Yeah. So it's both.
Yeah, it's
not only our
PTSD.
bees are so absolutely vitally important to humanity, so are our veterans.
Yeah.
So are our
So are
veterans.
veterans.
And correlating the two and the focus of the hive as far as the veteran, I love that you can put that together for us.
The generosity of human beings continues to astound me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it really does.
There's so many good things going on in this world, and we've got to always remember that. Just good people doing good things
Yep.
and helping our vets who are heroes the day they signed on the dotted line.
Yes.
Yes, and
lot
now
of
saving
sacrifice.
peace. A lot of sacrifice, absolutely. And just the missions that people go on, the purpose that they put into their life, it really helps with living a life with joy, purpose, and successful aging. And we're all getting older, and it's about time we talked about it. Until next time on Aging Untold.
On the next Aging Untold, when both sets of parents need help, couples can feel pulled in two directions at once.
You talk about the sandwich generation, this is the double-decker sandwich.
We'll share tips on how to prioritize, share the load, and make a plan that works for everyone.